Okay.
If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. If I find my way home, yeah.
Welcome back to your favorite channel. We on the PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner. You out here with your boy PB K9s, giving it to you raw and uncut, fair and unbiased. Hope everybody having a great day, having a great evening. We just gonna get into some dog news. We got some dog news and we got some dog talk to discuss like we always do right about this time. Big shout out, big salute, and big thank you to everybody that's taking care of them pets all across the world, man. We don't want to see none of them pets starving. They're doing bad. You know, big shout out to all y'all brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into this news first, man. Let's get into this news first. We're going to go to Louisville, where we got a man arrested for animal cruelty. I want to say about 7 dogs where they felt like weren't being taken care of. So needless to say, we're going to get into that news. And then we're going to get back into some of this dog talk, man. Y'all hit that like button up out there. Big shout out to the brothers and sisters down in the chat. It's your boy PB K9s doing it the way I do it.
Man is in jail on charges of animal cruelty after authorities performed a welfare check on dogs around the property and found them living in inhumane conditions. Complaints were made against David Watkins starting in April of last year. LMAS officers were called to the home on Arcade Avenue when someone reported several dogs on the property. A criminal complaint says Watkins refused to let LMAS officers perform the welfare check. Officers were called to the home 4 other times and were turned away each time. Then at the end of November, LMPD was able to obtain a search warrant and found 7 dogs with distended stomachs, hair loss, pus-infected wounds, and scabbing. 5 of the 7 dogs were on chains, and none of them had access to food. All of the animals were confiscated and taken to LMAS.
So, Mr. Watkins, no animals, all right?
I still can't. It's Your Honor. As you can look in the record,
While this case is going on, Mr. Watkins, no animals, okay?
but I'm innocent.
This is arraignment. We got a long way to go. We're just getting started, all right?
That's for my kids. It wasn't me. I don't even live at that address.
Well, the judge entered a not guilty plea for Watkins and set the bond for $5,000 full cash. He was also given a public defender and is due back in court on January.
Let's talk a little bit about this dog talk. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk a little bit about this dog talk. See, I seen the videos what old boy posted. I told y'all, I'm done with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do bigger and better things, you know? So at the end of the day, let's talk about this. You know, I see brothers that's talking about the best game dog ever. Is Mayday the best game dog ever? Or this dog the best game dog ever? I want to talk about that real quick, you know, on today's video. Big shout out to everybody that's tuned in, all right? But my point that I wanted to bring into it, I'm not really here to say Mayday isn't the best dog or is the best dog or Jeep is or isn't. My thing and our conversation that I want us brothers and sisters to talk about is, can you actually say a dog is the greatest dog ever if they went in catch weight? You know, can you say a dog is the best dog if he went in catch weight? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you can't be, you know, we're going to compare and contrast a little bit, you know, and I'm just saying, like, we all know with catch weight, you never really at the same weight that the other dog. You may be the same weight, luckily you may be, but it's always a chance you might be 5 pounds heavier, 6 pounds heavier, 10 pounds heavier, 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds heavier, you know. So, I mean, can you say that catch weight dogs are pound for pound some of the best pit bulls that ever lived? You know, That's what my question is, you know what I'm saying, in this particular topic. You know, it's not to focus on which dogs are the best, but can you say the catch dogs are the best? The catch weight dogs. If you always been up on your opponent, you know, how can we put you in the pound for pound being the best category? And I'm not saying you can't be, because we look at boxing all the time and we know heavyweight is the big dog of the big dogs, you know. And a lot of times it may be a 250-pound heavyweight going against a 220-pound heavyweight. You know, they do it catchweight style in the heavyweight division. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm not saying you can't, because me, myself, I may consider Mayday the best game dog ever. I may consider this other dog the best game dog ever. But my question is, can you consider catch dogs that? If you always been up on another opponent, you know? Some brothers just feel like a 50-pound dog can take a 55-pound dog. So they'll go up, or they'll go in the catch weight into you, not knowing that you may have when you say catch weight, you know, it don't really matter no more. And it's really a trick you can. It's not a trick, you know, but I'm gonna say it like this, right? If you can ever get somebody to fall into that catch weight category, then you know, it's kind of up in the air. You don't know what they're gonna bring. You know what I'm saying? You just bring whatever you bring. So I mean, can you consider the catch weight dogs the best? Yes or no? You know, and when we're talking about that, then, you know, where does that leave the dogs that are, you know, 40 pounds, go up, conquer that 40-pound division, 41-pound division, conquer the 45-pound division? You know, what if this dog is 40 pounds and he's a, say, this make an example, he's a 7-time winner, started off at 40 pounds, and now he done worked his way up from 40 to 43, 45, 46, and defeated 47 as well. And he's a 7-time winner. What does that leave him in that type of situation when you got the catch dogs? That's a lot of the times, the winning catch dog is your heavier catch dog or catch weight dog. Not saying that Mayday, all his matches was catch weight or nothing like that. Like I said, I'm not here to really argue the point about which dog is the best. I'm just talking about as far as the criteria of the categories of the dogs. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm thinking that we talking about just performance-wise. You know, that's what I'm thinking. You know, I'm thinking that we're not talking about adding in the breeding and all that other stuff as well. We just talking about performance-wise, being the best game dog ever. And you know, you can take a catch weight dog. You might go in catch weight at 57, and this one over here at 54. He come in at 53 and you at 57. You know, when you're going on catch weight, do you even get on the scales? What's the point of getting on the scales when you call it catch weight? You might as well just go straight from the buckets, the dry downs, and straight to the square. I mean, unless you just want to see it for fun, just to call out and say, oh, if I won, I beat a dog 6, 7, 8 pounds bigger than him. You know, that's the only thing you can be getting out of taking a catch weight dog to the scale. You know, but like I said, man, what do you consider, or who do you consider the best game dog ever? And do you put that weight thing into your, when you're doing your analytics and stuff like that? Do you put that catch weight? You know, because I look at that. When we call catch weight, it's never pound for pound. And it's kind of not fair to the smaller dogs that's 50 pounds and under, Because most of the dogs that's 50 pounds and under, they call them weights. You know? So they gotta be exactly on point. When you go and catch weight, you don't gotta worry about the forfeit unless you just don't show up. It ain't no, oh, I'm a quarter pound over, that's a forfeit. You know? How many people gonna wanna pay a forfeit? Say them boys got big money on it, and it's a $10,000 forfeit. How many brothers gonna wanna pay a forfeit and you only a tenth of a pound over, you know, overweight? Where it says you're supposed to come in at 45 even, and they're saying 45.1, 45.2 maybe. How many people gonna want to pay that 10,000? You know, so it's a lot of more pressure on them brothers who get into the weight than a catch weight match dog. You know, I'm just getting them in shape, making sure I might try to bring them at a certain weight, but at the end of the day, it don't matter what I bring them in at. And that has nothing to do with the quality of the dog. You know, like I said before, Mayday one hell of a dog. You know, and I can make a video about that as well, not critiquing nothing nobody else say, but just giving my opinion on it. You know what I'm saying? One hell of a dog. One thing about it, you're gonna have Mayday in your conversation, regardless if you're talking about production or you're talking about performance. You know, top dogs of all time, you're gonna have Mayday in your conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it takes one hell of a dog to be in everybody's conversation or every type of conversation, you know. But yeah, man. Me myself personally, I think, you know, and Bo, he went in catch weight, he went in on you know, calling weights, you know what I'm saying. But I know it's a whole lot easier to go in catch weight, but at catch weight, it's kind of, you playing tit for tat. You kind of playing, you playing it kind of risky then, you know. You playing it kind of risky because you could be thinking this brother dog is gonna be a pound, 2 pounds heavier than yours, you know. Once y'all done made the catch weight, y'all done call it catch weight. Now you could be talking to this brother for over that 8-week period of time. Now on the conversation, you know, you know, you could be lying as well. You know, you could be lying and spitting game, but a brother can be like, y'all supposed to come in and catch weight. He can be like, oh man, but shit, my dog about 54 right now. He 54, and the whole 8 weeks he talking to you, and he making it sound good to the point where he may be acting like he about to back out because he acting like his dog a certain weight. Now, you know, certain people will feed off that. You know what I'm saying? And judge their dog compared to what the conversation is. You know what I'm saying? And then you bring the dog, this dog 60 pounds, ripped up, head to toe, and don't got hardly no body fat on him, and he's still 60 pounds. And your dog 54 pounds, 53 pounds, or something like that, ripped up. He won't be able to handle it, man. So, you know, I gotta keep saying, don't take nothing from the big dogs. Because they can't help that they big. They just big. It don't take nothing from their performance. You know what I'm saying? Still probably would have been great dogs at 40-pound dogs, at 35-pound dogs. You know? Can you imagine Mayday himself from going from the size that he was to a 30-pound Mayday? Not 30, but like a 35-pound Mayday, 37-pound Mayday. You know? And the thing about it, it's brothers out there who know them smaller dogs, know the history of them. They'll be like, oh, so-and-so dog, that dog there is a 35-pound Mayday. Or better than Mayday at 35 pounds. That's why I say, man, that's why I say no discredit to no dogs. Because brothers, boy, will take your head off when you talk about certain dogs. And I wanted to make this conversation about, not about the dogs themselves, you know what I'm saying, but the actual catch weight situation. You know what I'm saying? Cause this brother who got this dog got 6 or 7 wins, and he 50 pounds and under, he had to bring that dog in weight 6 or 7 times. You know what I'm saying? Bring him in on the weight, 6 or 7 times. You know? And that's a job, man. That's a job. You know, a lot of brothers win the show before the show even starts, just off a brother can't bring the weight in right. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of looking at, a lot of paying attention to, like we always say, trial and error, knowing how to empty your dog out, knowing if he's really emptied out, how much more you got in him. Some brothers, you know, you may thinking, oh, he's too wet, you need to take some of the water away, right? The dog may not even be emptied all the way out as far as his stool yet, you know? And, you know, it's a real tricky game. That Wild Wild West days and all that stuff, trying to get them dogs right for all that stuff, it was real tricky if people who think they know what they was doing compared to people who really knew what they was doing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like I said, what I'm gonna ask y'all brothers, I don't mind y'all saying down in the chat, which dog do you feel like is the best game dog ever? But I'm not here to discuss that myself as far as my answer. I'll talk about that on another video. But who do y'all feel like is the best game dog ever? You know, and we go all the way back to Mr. Kobe, them dogs, and any dog you ever read about or got a story about. Because I could say Frisco Sport. You know what I'm saying? We talking about dogs. You know, we got stories about these dogs. Same way we got stories about Mayday. You know what I'm saying? We got a selective few of brothers out here that have had dealings with Mayday. You know? But for the most part, most people don't had dealings with Mayday. You know, most people haven't had dealings with Jeep. Most people haven't had dealings with some of your greatest or great dogs from the past. You know, so a lot of us are reading stories and going off gossip and stuff like that. So, I mean, we talk about a dog like Frisco Sport, and we start talking, and it's a lot of dogs out there that got wins in the teens, where they done won 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 shows, you know. So, you know, how do you classify these dogs? Or how do these dogs classify in it? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, this don't take nothing from Mayday, because I know myself, you know, regardless of how I feel about some of the offspring I ran through, regardless about how I feel about the offspring now, you know, Mayday, he's one hell of a dog. You know what I'm saying? One hell of a dog. Anybody who can give you Mayday stories, that's, you know, there's some hellified stories to give. You know, Mayday is a dog that you want to say, I got stories to give from this dog. What a dog name is? Mayday. Okay, let's hear the stories. People, you know, brothers should take pride in, and brothers do take pride in having the stories from a dog like Mayday. You know, having the stories from a dog like Red Boy. You know what I'm saying? We heard several Jeep stories. You know, just the great dogs. Like, get some great Eli stories from brothers that was around Eli, outside of Mr. Boudreaux, you know, RP to him again, you know, outside of him, and get some, you know, that's just what it is, man. You know, but, you know what I'm saying, I know them brothers out there with them lighter dogs had a lot to say about Mayday being the greatest game dog ever. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you know, me myself, I have to do a little research on that before I really give you my answer. You know, I can't give you my answer off of the lines that I'm running and what's my favorite line now and the favorite, you know, the yellow stories I give you. I can't really give you my opinion on the greatest game dog ever until I kind of do just a little research, not nothing, no long period of time, just a little research on the stories that each dog have behind it, you know, or a dog that I want to say is better than Mayday have behind it, you know, because if we adding everything into the whole situation, you know what I'm saying, I'll kind of say, you know, let's get some more stories about Yellow John and Yellow. But we heard the stories about Yellow. But if we adding everything into it, you know, he's gonna be one of the top dogs in your top 5 as far as an all-around dog. When it comes to, he got the record and his production wise. You know, now And I get into that on another video, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it on this topic right here, man. Y'all hit that like button up out there, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to the channel yet. You know, can the Catchweight dogs be considered some of the greatest dogs ever when it never was going pound for pound when it was in that show? Now, let me ask you this real quick. Pound for pound, would you say the 57-pound dog ripped up, he's ripped up, but he's 57 pounds and he's weight pulling against a 52-pounder? You know, a dog that came up in weight, but he made it to 52 pounds and he's weight pulling against the 57. And he pulled everything, but the 57 just end up pulling just a little bit more weight than he pulled. You know, would you say that 57 is pound for pound better than that lighter dog? When you know the difference in the weight? You know, and like I said, man, I'm not here to discredit neither side or neither dog, no matter which dog or brother say, you know, because it's going to be everybody's opinion, man. Everybody going to have their own favorite dog or the dog they feel like should be the top game dog of ever. You know, brothers may want to put the macho buck dog in that conversation. And like I said, throwing dogs' names out there. It's a dog, Lemonhead or Lemon something, that was like a 9-time winner, a 10-time winner. I may have the name a little bit wrong, but it's something like that. An older dog from back in the days, you know. He was like a 9-10 times winner, you know. So what are we really going on? Just the record of the dog, comparing the dog, or the dog production wise? You know, me myself personally, I think when that title be given to a dog, it's just like basketball. If you're gonna be the GOAT, you gotta be the GOAT all the way around. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be the GOAT of performance and not the GOAT of breeding. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna be the GOAT, if you the GOAT, you the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? So if Jeep is the GOAT, then he's gotta be considered the GOAT in everything. You know, matching, performance, and he's ranking high over all dogs in all them categories. If it's Mayday, he gotta be doing it in all them categories. If it's Red Boy, all them categories. They'll be considered the greatest of all time. And like I said, that's my opinion. You know, if we talking about something outside of the actual show, how many show records, what records they got. Now, if we talking about just records, it's a lot of dogs with a lot of, you know, higher numbers than Mayday. Higher numbers than Jeep. You know. Higher numbers than Bolio or the next or Chinaman. You know, and then we can't leave Chinaman out of this conversation. But like I said, this video ain't for which dog is the best. Because Chinaman is another dog, you know, with a hellified record. That's super famous. Whether you like him or hate him, you know, he's just as famous as Mayday. And Chinaman was famous before Mayday. And they still talk his name just as strong as they was talking his name back then. So, I mean, hey, just drop down in the chat, man. Like I say, appreciate everybody rocking with the Bay. It's your boy, bringing it how I always bring it. Fair and uncut, raw and unbiased. Do you think the Catchweight dogs have an advantage, you know, over their opponents? Where the smaller dogs, it gotta always be head to head. This dog won 7 and he never had an advantage. He always went against something that was dead on with him. This one won 7, but he only went into a dog that was his weight one time. He was always 3 pounds heavier, 4 pounds heavier, to 5 pounds heavier, but he won 7. But like I said, it's not his fault that he's a big dog. You know, and one thing we know about big dogs, once you get at a certain weight, it's kind of hard to match exact weights with big dogs and still have both dogs in shape. So that's why they would do the catch weight and call the catch weight, because you know you can't. It's gonna be hard to match 256s and 257s and 259s and 260s. It'll be hard to match all that. You know, you'll find them here and there, but you'll find a brother won't catch weight more often because he feel like he got a bad bulldog and he 52 and I'm gonna take whatever you got. Oh, you got a big 60-pound dog. First thing he thinking when you say 60, he thinking you really don't know what the hell you got. You come in with some old big fat dog. Now I will say, just like your big weights, sometimes with them smaller dogs, it's hard to find a weight for them as well. Your 30 pound, your 31, 32, 29, 28. Some of these brothers got some small pit bulls, and you know, the smaller they is, the harder it is to find shows for them back in them days. Just like your real big dogs. You know, you probably find a show for a bigger dog than a 29-pound dog or a 30-pound dog. You know, it kind of hard to find them small dogs at some time. But then you know, you got a lot of brothers who got them, and you don't hear as many stories from some of them smaller dogs, 29-pounder or 27-pounder or 30-pounder dog that was 8, 9-time winner, 10-time winner and stuff like that. You know, and like I said, man, what is the greatest dog ever title judging the dog off of? That's the main thing, you know, I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, made it in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, he in the conversation, he produced some of the best dogs that produced some of the best dogs that brothers got in their pedigrees today. You see, YouTube don't pay me to worry about what the flunky's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Believe me, like I said, I seen what the flunky's talking about on this good old great day, this good old great Saturday. I seen what the flunky's talking about, but YouTube don't pay me to talk about that. They pay me to talk about these dogs right here. You know what I'm saying? You know, it just is what it is, man. It's be judging by record, performance, breeding, or what? You know, popularity. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to popularity, Mayday, he gonna be in the top 5 conversation. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be in your top 5 conversation. You know, Eli gonna be in your top 5 conversation when it comes to popularity. And this is one thing, you know, I had to learn as a youngster. You know what I'm saying? When you think you know it all and you be green, this is one thing I had to learn. Weight matters, man. Weight matters. You can have the baddest dog in the world, you know, and he may get through the big ones and the little ones and the big ones and the little ones, you know, but weight matters, man. When you bump into a dog that's just as good as your dog is, maybe he's a little tad better, but he's just as good as your dog is, and he outweighing your dog by 5, 6, 7 pounds, you know, that shit matters. When these dogs start performing and they start getting their moves and they techniques and all kind of stuff, and that weight bear down on each, you got a rear end dog. Your dog know how to get a face dog or get a rear end dog off of them, right? You know, but just say the rear end dog get on your dog. I'm gonna use my dog for example, like Sambo. All right, when Split Ears was on him, I never had, and this is what I was green at, you know. Out of all the shit he had been on, he never had been on a rear end dog that was strictly rear end like that, right? Now, it was 2 mistakes that I made, you know, as far as bringing him, you know, to the show like that. One, he wasn't school on that kind of dog, which that ain't matter. Once I come to the show, I come to the show, you know. 2, the dog was bigger than he was, but your ego and your pride say, oh, my shit, the baddest motherfucker. But the thing is, my dog didn't know about a back end dog, right? He put all that weight on my dog in the corner, held my dog down, and it wasn't biting nothing but just the back end, just going in his back end. You know, my dog wasn't like a peel your dog from the face. You know, like I said, he wasn't schooled out from the back end. And to him, to my dog, it wasn't hurting him because the dog had flatted out teeth. His teeth were squared off, you know, and it wasn't putting no cuts or nothing. It was pressure biting, and it just swole up. You know, my dog still wanted it, but it couldn't go. I'm not gonna front and lie to you. You know, when I put him up, he wanted to come cross, but his leg was too big that he couldn't carry it with him. So I picked him up, but I wouldn't have let him go cross. I was just doing it to see if he was gonna come. He was still looking, trying to get him. It wasn't over to him, but it was over to me. You know? And I could have been like a lot of dog brothers. Oh man, oh, a loss is a loss. Pow. And I lost a good dog that day. You know, that's why I tell my brothers as well. You know how many good dogs then got put down? I bet you, we could probably make a bet out there where everybody tally up the dogs that they remember. More good dogs got put down than curs got put down over the years because of pride and because maybe a brother made a mistake on a keep or somebody didn't know what they was doing with the dog. You know what I'm saying? And then they got their ass beat and put the dog down when somebody else could have got that same dog and made wonders with the dog. More of them kind of dogs got put down than real curs got put down for doing cur shit. You know, in my opinion. By the way I look at how brothers just judge the dog, whether he's a cur or not. You know? Dogs have all kind of stuff in their stomach. Dogs the keep don't be right. You know? See, it's no guidelines when you finish your keep at the end of the, I don't care who you is. You know, you can be Mr. Crenshaw, Mr. Chavis, you know what I'm saying, PB K9s. You can be anybody. When you finish the end of your keep, each time you went out for that show, there's no guidelines to say, oh, this is 100%. You got to have that eye for it and hope that you got that dog back right at 100% again. You know? It's no list to say, oh, you got everything, bing. This Grand Champion Yellow, he's at 100% right now. You know, he's going out for his show, he's at 100%. There's no list to say that. You gotta know that look, you gotta know that your dog and all that shit takes real skill. You know what I'm saying? Real skill. So we don't know a lot of these dogs that got put down that was pretty good dogs. Might have had a little bit of a flim flam on the food. Might have had a little flim flam where they got overworked and really needed to sit back. That same dog that lost, that may have stopped at an hour, 2 hours, hour and a half, may have stopped. If you would have stopped and then took them to the show and stopped the keep and just let them rest for 2 weeks. Just let them rest for 2 weeks. Don't overfeed them. Just feed them like you was feeding them. But let him get his energy back. Just 2 weeks. And then bring him out on weight again. And you ain't did no work with him at all. Just maybe take him out and walk him, but nothing major. Just short walks. You know? And then watch how that dog build his strength back up and probably be better. That's why the old saying goes, some of them dogs come off the chain better than they do. You know when you did the keep on them? He off the chain, he was off the heezy. But you didn't do the keep on him, it wasn't nothing. Because you made some mistakes here and there. And as the owner, we don't want to acknowledge it. We'll put the blame on the dog. The dog wasn't shit. You know? And I told you, okay, when I made a mistake on him, let me give you another example. A dog I took out, right? Wild Wild West days. To people that just watching my channel, when I say Wild Wild West days, I mean the 90s. You know, we talking Wild Wild West days. I took a dog out. 8-week keep. I started them on dry dog food. You know, dry dog food and mixing, you know, the other things with it. You know, a little food, collard greens, a little meat and stuff like that, but it's cooked and everything. You know, I'm working the first part of the keep like that. Now the second part, somehow or another, I get some great idea, you know what I'm saying, to come switch the feed up. Now I go to raw. You know what I'm saying? I go to Raw. Dog look good on the keep, you know what I'm saying? Still working hard and everything. You know, I give my decks and everything good on my end as far as the weight wise. I give my decks and all my stuff, my little injectables I'm giving. We got a certain time we going in for the show. Now when it's time to go to the show, the folk I'm going into is not ready yet. You know, they're not ready yet. So it end up happening about 3 to 4 hours afterwards. You know, now my big thing was all the stuff that I shot in my dog. You know, it's screwed up now because of the timing. You know what I'm saying? The timing wasn't right. You know, we 4 hours in and we done went through the hot part of the day or whatever. And all my little, like I said, my decks and all my stuff, the dog ran hot. You know, the dog ran hot. And see, I know I made a mistake, whether it was with the hours that we delayed on the show, that could have nothing to do with it, period. You know, but I know when brothers do that delay will get you, will catch you slipping. You know what I'm saying? So I got caught with the delay, and then I switched up on the feed during my keep. So I made a mistake with the dog. My pride say, instead of putting the dog down, my pride was hurt. You know what I'm saying? When I lost with him, my pride say, man, I don't want this dog. You can have him. Gave him to my homeboy. Then my homeboy went and did what he did with him. You know? And the dog turned out to be a good dog. So a lot of times we make the mistakes with the dogs. And in my opinion, I feel like a lot more of great dogs or halfway decent dogs that could have been great got put down more than real curs get put down or got put down. You know what I'm saying? And to anybody that's tuned in right now, you know, we was talking about, can you put the Catchweight dogs in the category of being the greatest dogs ever when they never have matched into dogs pound for pound? You know, when we talk about the pound for pound category, can you consider a Catchweight dog pound for pound the best? And when we talk about that conversation, are we talking about pound for pound the best performer or pound for pound the greatest dog all the way around? Because we could, you know, what's your best, when you say the pound for pound best performer ever, what dog do you consider that? And when you say the GOAT, what dog do you consider the GOAT? And I'm talking to anybody out there, drop down in the chat. You know, what dog do you consider the best performer ever of all game dogs? And what dog do you consider the GOAT? And big salute to all my brothers out there rocking all the bloodlines. You know, from your Jeep to your Eli to your Bolio to your Red Boy Jocko to your Rascal. You know what I'm saying? You know, all the bloodlines, you know. Your Eli, if I ain't said that already. Like I always say, man, I gotta always keep giving my Eli brothers props because that's some of the oldest blood out there. But you wouldn't know it. You would think Eli was born in 1990 something. The way these brothers rep them dogs. You know, so them, like I said, them Eli fans is about like them Dallas Cowboy fans. You know, they can lose. You know, but they always say they one player away from the Super Bowl. One breeding away from the best dog ever. You know, big salute to all them brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? We into 2026, my brothers and sisters. Like I said before, man. Y'all gonna see, man, how I can't pay that shit no attention. You know what I'm saying? Can't pay it no attention. They gotta show what they bring to the table, and I'm gonna show what I bring to the table. And satisfy the people that's watching my channel and talk about the things that y'all wanna talk about. You know what I'm saying? I done proved that I could walk through the swamps and step, how I come through high stepping and doing what I want to do and talking my shit. I done proved it. You know, there's no need to me. I don't got nothing else to prove in that area. You know what I'm saying? I'm battle tested. You know, I need to battle test myself with these stories and these pedigrees and learning how to take care of these dogs and learning how to finesse these breedings and learning how to do different exercises and going out here hunting with these dogs and all kind of shit. Cause I'm a hunter, you know what I'm saying? I'm a hunter. I'll give you some videos in a minute, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it just is what it is, man. Salute to all my brothers out there, the positive brothers. Salute to the brothers that got the dog of the week with the Samurai dog show that he be holding weekly, you know what I'm saying? Salute to them brothers, puppy of the week. Salute to all y'all brothers, man. And everybody, like I always say, that's doing the positive things with these channels, man. Big salute, big shout out to my boy Mitch out there, man. Big salute to you, Mitch. Hey, Mitch, what you think, man? Who you think the best game dog ever? You know what I'm saying? And this is my opinion, you know. And this, you know, I want to say this rather. You know, some of y'all brothers, we can feel like our dog is the best dog ever. You know, but at least if you say it, give your statement on why you feel like that, you know. And your reason may be different than the next brother reason. You know, that's what we got to stop criticizing brothers who have different views on certain things, you know what I'm saying? Your view got to be the same thing I'm viewing, you know? But I want you to feel like your view is just as strong as my view. You know, just because I view certain things, that don't mean it means more than what you're saying or what you're talking about. You know? But yeah, Mitch, man, what you think, man? What you think? Who you think, Mitch, is the GOAT? You know? Big salute to my brother John Denver, City Boy Kennels out there, Paul Johnson, Bradford Anderson, my bro Bruce Banner out there. What y'all think, man? What y'all think the best game dog ever? The GOAT? When it comes to everything? Because you got some brothers that argue that Chinaman is the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? His production is up. His performance was up. His fame is up. Macho Buck, production up, fame up, performance was up. You know, you got a lot of brothers that are arguing these dogs are the GOATs, are the greatest of all time. Some of these brothers will go back to some of Mr. Kobe dogs, because we'll hear some of the stories about Mr. Kobe dogs and what his dogs did and things like that, you know. Would these dogs give Centipede a run for his money? Or would Centipede even stand a chance against some of the dogs we calling out? What about Rascal and these dogs? Would Rascal stand a chance if we bought them in the Mayday times? See, this the thing. A lot of y'all old schoolers was around now. Now, this one thing we know. I get a pass on a lot of this stuff because I was just coming in. This one being a little too young pays off, brothers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all old schoolers was around when Mayday was out here. You know, when Yellow was out here. When Jeep was out here. And you could have went into them dogs. But you didn't. And you was cool with the owners of these dogs, but you didn't go into them. But years later, you will speak about these dogs, downward, you know what I'm saying? But you had a chance to go into these dogs if you was in that era. If you was connected, to the people really, you know, if you weren't really dealing with the people or you had no connection to them, then I can understand all that. You know? But yeah, man. Which dog is the greatest? The Catchweight dogs? Can they be considered the greatest? Pound for pound? Or do it even matter? You know? Do it even matter? But y'all hit that like button up out there, man. I ain't holding y'all up too long today, man. Big salute to all my brothers and sisters out there. Y'all enjoy y'all Saturday, man. Y'all enjoy the brothers and sisters that's still on holiday vacation. Y'all enjoy y'all vacation. You know, it's your boy K9s doing it the way I always do it. You know, damn, man, I'm about to close it out, but I kind of want to stay a little longer. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want to stay a little longer, and the old me keep ragging, keep pulling my shoulder and keep wanting me to say something, but I ain't gonna say nothing, man. I ain't gonna say nothing. Like I said, we doing bigger and better things out here, man. We doing bigger and better things out here, and if you don't believe me when I tell you, when you certain places, once you get at a certain level, you can't hear the motherfuckers that's down in the swamps. You know what I'm saying? Put yourself at a level where you can't even hear the swamps that's hating on you and all that bullshit, or even worry about it. You know, the air that you're breathing is not the air that he's breathing. Or his way of thinking, you know, basically is what I'm using as an example. His way of thinking. You know, a lot of these brothers, you had your time. You had your time. You ain't make the best of, or you made the best of your time, and it was what it was. You know, accept it for what it is. Everything you have, a new generation, new generations, new generations, new generations. You know, this generation, it got an advantage over every generation of dog game out. You know, this generation got it made more and got it better than any dog generation before. You get more information. You get everything cheap. You know, where a brother will pay $1,500 for a treadmill back in the days, and it was, you know, just a regular old treadmill. Now you can get them $200 or $300 on Amazon, from Walmart. You know what I'm saying? You know, $400, $500. Like the information brothers can get, you know, just the news in general across the board from all the channels that a brother can get, you know what I'm saying, in the dog game. It's just way more beneficial to the average dog person than the stuff that folk could get back then, you know. But with less to work with back then, they did more with what they had. You know, they didn't have as much as these brothers got, but they did more with what they had, if that makes sense, you know. If them brothers back then would have had what y'all brothers got now, man, I can imagine how famous Mayday would be, or Jeep would be, or Big John would be, or this dog would be, if brothers had the social media and all this, and man, it should be off the easy. Had the information that brothers got now. You know, the length of time that a brother stayed green, you know, back then compared to now, I'm gonna say, when it comes to the knowledge, you get more knowledge. A brother stayed green to certain things for years back then, because he had to get hands-on to learn this stuff. A lot of the stuff y'all brothers don't got to get hands-on because you learning it from people who was already hands-on before. Telling you how to walk, train this dog to run up a wall. Tell you how to get this dog ready to do some sled pulling or weight pulling or something like that. You know what I'm saying? The brothers from the era of my era or the era before my era, they had to learn it and learn all that stuff hands-on. I couldn't learn from the brother in Mississippi. I couldn't learn from the brother in Texas or the brother in New York. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn from the brother that I knew around the corner somewhere. And if I didn't know him, I wasn't learning unless I went out and trial and error. You know? So, man, it is what it is, though, man. It is what it is. Yeah, like I said, y'all drop down in that chat. Should that Catchweight dog, or should a Catchweight dog be considered pound for pound the best of all game dogs? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Drop y'all opinions. Much love to you. Y'all have a safe, legal day. PB K9s, and I'm out.
It's a proven fact that the American Pit Bull Terrier is one of the most fascinating dogs worldwide. Maybe you've been thinking about bringing one into your family and need an in-depth look at the history, health, temperament, and lineage. This only means there's one book for you. The Pitbull Encyclopedia is your one-stop shop when it comes to your furry friend or companion. Knowledge is the key to running a successful program, so make sure your Pitbull is secured by having your very own copy of the Pitbull Encyclopedia. Why are you still hesitating about something you can do today?